Good evening, people, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all over the world. It could be good morning, it could be good afternoon. Wherever you are watching all over the world. This is your guy, your host, DLG REPPIN, yet again. And this is my of a football context. Yes, the channel is DLG, as you all know. Excuse me. And we're going to keep it Arsenal orientated, obviously. But the main thing is we talk about football, even whether it's about Arsenal, Man United, Tottenham, Chelsea, etc., etc. Or players, management, board of directors. We keep it 100% Arsenal. Excuse me, let me get my drink. Do bear with me, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I want to get this thing started. So, news broke this afternoon that Darren Lewis will be set to leave Arsenal after last year's summer. He signed a 1-year contract with a view to a further 12 months. Now, looking at his time at Arsenal in the space of this season, if I was to mark him out of 10, 5. He's just been terrible most of the time. He's completely inconsistent. You know, you get 1 or 2 games out of him and then you get 5, 6, 7 bad games out of him. He's poor with marking in open play. He's not aware of the danger, but then he reacts after. He's got to be aware of his opponent, meaning the striker or the attacker. But he never seems to understand where his attacker is coming from, and he's not aware of where his attacker is going to be running to, what space he's going to run into, how he's peeling off him, and then he can do such rash things. I mean, the worst game, Liverpool away. My God, he was completely atrocious that day. Oh, Salah had fun with him and some more. He conceded a stupid penalty in that second half of that game, early in the second half. And then, like 7-10 minutes later, he goes in without even winning the ball. He goes in to challenge Salah, and then Salah just glides past him, like, see you later. Like he's got enough pace to catch Salah. He was not catching Salah. And Salah says, thank you very much. All I've got to do is slot it at the far past Leno. It's 3-0 Liverpool, game, set, and match. And what was it? Game, set, and match. So he was just terrible all season. And he hasn't really impressed me from a defensive point of view. He's found wanting, missing. I was there at the last home game when I went to go and watch us play Olympiacos. That was the last time I went to the Emirates. And he was atrocious. He was so atrocious. Mustafi got him out of jail on several occasions. You know, he was at fault for one of the goals, if not both of the goals. I mean, Arsenal fans, if you care to comment on this, then drop your comments below. Yeah, I'm open to a conversation, and if I don't get to reply back, I will reply back tomorrow morning or afternoon, whenever I get this spare time. Because I just didn't want Darren Lewis. It wasn't still a centre-half that we were crying out for. We were crying out for an Upper Marcano. But at the time, we bidded 55 million for him, and IB Leipzig said, no, we're going to stand firm. We're not reducing the price for your pleasement or your satisfaction. We value him at 70 million. That's his value. That's the going rate. So we were 50 million short of getting Dale Upamecano. Well, it's what happens when you pay 8 million for a Chelsea leftover, just like paying for Man United leftovers or crap such as Welbeck and Mkhitaryan, or Chelsea leftovers such as Peter Cech. He did all right for us, but his best days were at Chelsea. Lewis's best days were at Chelsea, if I can say that. He won the Champions League there, he won league titles there. With us, he ain't going to be the sweet FA. Let's be brutally honest. He's just not the elite defender that we need, and we need an elite centre half. I mean, Saliba, he could potentially become that elite defender, you know. And then again, when he does perform, if he does perform on a regular basis, game after game, month after month, and then year in, year out, and I say year in, year out because potentially he could become a price asset, and he could look at Arsenal as a stepping stone potentially. And, well, I'd hope he would like to stay on the long term. I hope he's a long-term plan. Darren Lewis is just a 12-month plan. Well, if you can call it that. He's not a centre-half I would pick week in, week out. In fact, yeah, sell him, Arteta. Do yourself a favour. As well as Socrates and Mustafi, do yourself a favour and sell David Lewis. He has to go. I mean, I've read it in the article on Google, and I honestly think he's on borrowed time. Why would you want to keep him for another season? He's 33 years of age. We ain't going to get much for value. We'll be lucky to get 2 bob out of him. So, David Luiz, goodbye. So, moving on, keeping it Arsenal. And in the women's game, in the WSL, the Arsenal women's football club, should I say, they've been fined for discrimination, in which the club denies. So basically, they had an individual who was disabled, and this person claimed that they were sacked from Arsenal's women's football club due to the fact that this person had a disability. If I can find the remote, if I can find it, I can read on a little bit about it. And for me, if that's the case, then the Arsenal women's team were fined. And yes, they were fined 50,000 quid. That's a hell of a lot of money, you know, to be fined. I find it despicable if this happens to be true. It's out of order, and there's no place for discrimination anywhere in football or anywhere in the world of society. And that's my philosophy on it. That's my intake on it, really. And I just cannot stand discrimination with a passion. I hate it. Oops. And the Arsenal's women team the Arsenal women football club are paying a heavy price for this. 50 quid. £50,000. That's a lot of money to them. I mean, there's not enough money being invested in the women's game as yet, but you know, 50,000 at this moment of time is a lot of money. All right, let's see where I can find this. Should be, there we go. Yes, reading from the article here. Arsenal women have been fined 50,000 for act of discrimination in dismissing an employee by reason of disability in 2014. Some members of Arsenal staff will also be required to undertake an education program. The Women's Super League Club denied the allegation, which related to the exit of former junior coach Robin Carpenter in 2014. Carpenter has been in charge of the club's under-15 team. So, here you go. This is a gentleman who's had vast experience in coaching the Arsenal under-15 girls team, and there seems to be members of Arsenal's staff who will undergo what's called an education program, and if they're found, well, if they happen to be found guilty, then they deserve it. They deserve to sit down and go through this education program. You know, maybe it will educate their IQ a lot better. I mean, discrimination, like I said, it has no place on earth or on society, and football as well. So we move on to other news. Thierry Henry, he was linked. Before being linked with Arsenal, his first choice was Manchester United. I don't know how heavily he was linked, but he must have been that heavily linked that he chose Manchester United. Whether he was linked or not, I will never know that story. But I remember, what I do know is Eric Cantona's brother has said, he said to Eric Cantona, tell your manager that he should sign Thierry Henry. And Fergie's reply was, he's always fucking injured. Yeah? He was never injured for you guys, I'll tell you that now. He had fun with you guys back then, and some more, shall we say. And should we put it as that? But Thierry Henry, well, for me, it might sound biased, but, well, in my personal opinion, if you ask me who was the best footballing striker in the Premier League history, you got to put Thierry Henry up there, if not the best. I mean, you can drop your comments below on this, but Thierry Henry was a phenomenal striker. In his time in England, he had to be considered the best striker in the world. Maybe he was the best striker in the world, but then again, it was in an era where you talk about best strikers in the world. You have Ronaldo, you had Shevchenko, and they were phenomenal strikers, formidable finishers, ruthless, beyond the ability to kill a team on their own. Shevchenko's best days were with AC Milan more than what I would say with Chelsea, whereas Ronaldo, well, he was such a special talent. He could have been possibly better than Pele. That's how talented he was. So Thierry Henry at Manchester United, wow, if that had happened, imagine the dominance of Manchester United. Not like they needed to dominate a lot more, you know, because they already had quality players. They had a team. They had a world-class team. And they were competing with Arsenal. And Thierry Henry was always the main guy. But Man United were always a team, especially in the midfield at the time. But I'm not going to go on about their midfield. But for what Henry done for Arsenal in the 8 years were just in un quoi? Va-va-voom. Magic. World class. And yeah, what I would do to have another Thierry Henry at the Emirates for 8, 9, 10 years, what I would give is everything to make that possible. So that was a bit about Thierry Henry choosing Man United, but Ferguson didn't fancy him at the time. So Henry instead decided to buy a house in North London, and in the right place of North London, and that was not Tottenham. That was with the real North London team. And even to this day now, North London is still red as far as I'm concerned. Until them lot can do something about it, which I very doubt much. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm going to wrap it up for this evening. Excuse the biasness towards Tottenham, but the main thing is I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you were listening, I'll say thank you once again. And I'll be back in the morning. So from me, your host, your guy, DLG REPPIN, peace, bless and love. And remember to stay safe in this pandemic situation. Otherwise, I'm going to cut, yeah? So be good. I'm out.